I'm going to reflash my ECU with a higher wastegate map for the 93 octane for my vehicle. And what it should do is give me just a little more boost. It seems a little low to me, but it's driving very nice for everyday. So I'm just going to give the higher wastegate setting a little test drive for a day or so, and if it seems to be working well, might keep that on for a little bit till I put the intake on. But I'm going to go through the steps of installing a new map using the access port from COBB, and this is the V3 access port. So the first thing you'll want to do is, with the box having the serial number, go to the COBB website and register the device, and then download the access port manager. Follow the directions, plug it in the USB port, plug the other end into your access port, and then go to the updates section and download any updates that it would need. Then you'll be ready to go. You can also go to the downloaded maps that are on the device and just see what you have on there preloaded. It's a pretty big list. It should have everything available for that vehicle. So I'm going to go through the menu. It's the performance, troubleshooting. You have trouble codes, they'll read it. That way you don't have to take this down to the shop. And tuning, click on that, select. And change my ECU map. Now it's recommended you hook up a charger. I have a trickle charger that I'll use if I do a lot of this stuff, and but right now these are so quick, I'm just going to go ahead and do this as is, but always follow the manufacturer's recommendations. So, key is in the on position. And do the ECU reflash. So just one thing to note, my car is at temperature, normal running temperature. When I load this too, when I do start the car for the first time, I'm not going to touch any inputs on the vehicle for at least a minute. So since I have 93 octane, that's the standard. This is the high wastegate setting, and I'm going to choose that one. And here's where it's recommending you hook up a charger. Right, it should only take a few minutes here. Basically, just to get these maps, they're preloaded for your vehicle. Like I ordered mine for the 2017 WRX, and it has basically all the maps I would need. Unless they upgraded a map, I could go on the website and download it. There's an access port manager little application that you download from COBB, and just follow the directions on that. When you first purchase it, you'll need to check the firmware and see if there's updates available. So now turning it to the off position, and this is all real time. I'll try to make this a one-shot deal. So, flash the map pretty quick. That only took about a minute. Take your time. Don't try to start turning things off and on. Just read what it says and follow the directions, and it'll be just fine. Please turn the ignition key to the on position so the access port can begin the reset procedure. Okay, vehicle's not on, but the ignition key is fully to the on position. Continue. Right, successful. Now turn it to the off position for at least 15 seconds before restarting the vehicle. And sometimes you will hear some solenoids and stuff resetting. Don't be scared. It'll be all good. Key is off. I'm going to hit continue. Wait about 15 seconds. clutch in, start the vehicle. That's it, I'm not going to touch it. Do that for a minute. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to set up some gauge monitoring. I'm going to show you how to monitor 6 key functions that most people want to keep an eye on once you start modifying your car, and some of these are really good to just monitor just to see if your car is operating properly. So let's get to it. So earlier I mentioned that this manufacturer, the COBB, suggests that you install a charger on your vehicle while you're doing these flashes, because you'll be doing some electrical functions with the engine off, so the alternator's not going to be charging the battery. So this is a charger. It's pretty much a battery tender, but it does charge as well. So I installed this because I'm going to be doing some videos. It might take a little longer than a normal flash, so you know, do as the manufacturer suggests, and you can't go wrong. Just make sure you have all your cables away from any moving parts. Alright, let's get into it. We're going to hit gauges. The select button is in the middle. I'm going to click up until the little green arrow that goes to the right is highlighted. We're going to change gauge layout. So you're going to scroll up, hit select. I'm going to do the 6 gauge small digital gauge layout. Alright, so the way we're going to do this is we're going to highlight the gauge areas. There's 6 of them. You're going to click change monitor, and it's basically going to change what is being monitored on that gauge. I'm going to select feedback knock, hit select. So now my top left is going to monitor feedback knock. Now I'm going to go down, scroll down till I highlight the next area I want to change. I'm going to go through the list and look at all the parameters and look for the next gauge monitoring. I'm going to do find knock learn in this one. Do the same thing on the next gauge down. Basically, all these 3 gauges are going to be related to timing, advancement, and the knocking that might occur. So I'm going to go through the list and find my dynamic advance multiplier. Put advanced learn on this one. I'm going to just see which of the advanced monitoring I want to do as I go. So we scroll down until I get over to my next column. I'm going to select that gauge. Then I'm going to change the monitor for that. And I think we'll do a boost on this one. Go down through the list. And now I have 2 ways to monitor the boost going into the engine. Scroll down until I get to the next gauge that I want to change. Hit select, change monitor. I think on this one we'll do the air-fuel ratio. Hit select. Now I've got 5 of the 6 gauges going. So I'm going to scroll down until I get that last gauge. And hit select, change monitor. And I'm going to go through the list here, very long list. And we'll do the intake air temperature. So I'll give you a little detail on why we're going to monitor these things and when we get to the end here. Intake temperature. And hit select. Alright, now we've got our gauges set up. So the monitoring doing on those left 3 gauges will be related to engine knock, and that's basically an indication of the timing of your ignition in relation to your stroke. So when the piston's coming up, there's a certain time that is optimal that will fire and ignite the fuel air mixture, and give that time to fully, ignite and compress and give you that good power for the downstroke. All this learning that happens is basically the ECU will sense through the microphones attached to the engine any kind of out of normal concussion or explosion, and the dynamic advance multiplier value will just kind of take a snapshot of what happened, where was the throttle, the RPM range, etc. And then when you get to that in the driving again, that value will be added to the timing, and any correction will be made, and so it'll learn the car as it goes and make corrections for that. So there's a negative 1.41 that is pretty common on the WRXs of these models, model years, and basically it's when the AC kicks in, the clutch engages, and it's just kind of a concussion that happens, and so you can pretty much ignore that. It's a normal operating noise. So the monitoring on the right, on the top, is going to be the boost, and the larger number in that gauge window is the real-time boost. It's pounds per square inch. In the picture here it's negative 7.64 psi. Looks like it was switching between a 2 and a 4 there. The two numbers below is basically the peak and the low psi that's been monitored. It's kind of a snapshot. It catches peak and minimum through your drive. The next gauge down the middle right is going to be the air-fuel ratio. That needs to be around 14.7, and then it'll be in the ranges below. If you're wide open throttle, that'll be I believe in 11 to 13 range, something I may or may not ever see. And then the bottom right gauge is going to be my intake temperature. So two reasons this is important to me. One is if I see a temperature of my intake air that is 10 to 15 degrees higher than the ambient temperature, I know I need to take it easy. If I don't, second reason is that hot air coming in could cause a pre-ignition, and that's going to cause a knock, and could throw off my timing. So just want to keep an eye on that. So if you have a turbo as your kind of the monitors you want to keep an eye on. Know your vehicle. Some of these vehicles have known noises, and you need to know what those are so you can ignore those, and then so you can recognize anything out of normal. So I hope that helped. So I wanted to add that since I made this video, I've been driving that higher waste gate 93 octane map for my vehicle. Everything else is stock, and it's been really well. Still as smooth as the standard 93 octane, but it does give you the boost ratios a little higher. So the percentage of throttle, you'll get a little more boost, and it'll be just as linear, but there's a little more of it. And hadn't noticed any creep. Haven't done full throttle. Don't need to. But if I need to accelerate, I have a little more, and it's just to feel a little more comfortable with that amount of boost. Because if there's a hazard in the road or whatever, the quicker I can get around it, the better. So that's it.